Right, straight away, folks, I believe that Keir Starmer's speech yesterday, following the protest at Downing Street, was one of the most sinister in recent times given by a British Prime Minister. What the guy did was basically blame a whole group of people and use them as an excuse to give the state more control and more policing powers, and that's completely wrong. Nigel Farage was spot on when he called him out for this, and especially when he said that Keir Starmer can't blame everything on the so-called far right. Now, I'm starting to think that the far right is a left-wing conspiracy theory, because as we all know, to the left, you are far right if you have a different opinion. And anyway, I was at that protest or demonstration in Downing Street, as you all know, and amongst the crowd I saw black men. So surely if that was a far-right riot, then what on earth were black men doing amongst them? So like I said, Keir Starmer wants to bring in more powers to control people, using this tiny minority of concerned British citizens, and has chosen to completely ignore the massive elephant in the room. And I'll tell you, Keir Starmer mentioned the riots in Southport and what happened in Whitehall, Downing Street the other night. But what he didn't mention, conveniently, was the army officer stabbed 12 times the other day, the Leeds riots for 3 days, the 2 thugs violently assaulting 3 armed police officers in an airport, and they still haven't been arrested. Not to mention they broke a female police officer's nose. And then there were the riots in Rotherham for them. He didn't mention the 3 little girls stabbed, the 10 injured. He didn't mention the sword fights and machete attacks in Southend. He didn't mention the 28 men convicted of gang raping a British girl yesterday, receiving 400 years because their crimes were so revolting and brutal they can't even be published. Also yesterday, 8 men were charged with gang raping another British child. He didn't mention the woman beaten to death by 2 Somalis while walking her dog. He didn't mention the 7 months of hundreds of thousands of people calling for the genocide of Jews while they marched in London with the Free Plasticine pro-Hamas marches. He didn't mention the postman pushed onto rail tracks, and he didn't mention the 17 knife murders in the past 72 hours. Meanwhile, his government are going to give £117 million to mosques and an extra $6 billion on illegal migrants. Yes, I did lift that off X, but it's all true. But according to him and the lefties, it's the so-called far right who are the problem here. There are currently 42,000 Muslims on the terror watch list, and yet working class people here in Britain is the problem, according to them. Now, I'm not condoning the violence here that happened in Southport and in London the other night, but the people who attended them are a reaction to the government, not just Keir Starmer's, but the previous one. Their lack of addressing any of that and dealing with it properly. But the fact they want to bring in more invasive controlling measures against the whole population of this country now, using those concerned Brits, I think is proof enough that the governments, the powers that be, the authorities are really working against the people. What on earth is their endgame? I don't know. And Nigel Farage was right to call this out. This country is going to hell in a handcart, and I honestly don't know how on earth it's going to get back to how it used to be. Has Britain fallen, or is it on its way? I don't know. So let me know in the comments. And that's that. I'm Paz49. Thanks for watching. And until the next time, Roger Trout.